everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from beautiful springtime in Salt Lake City,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show, later on in the show, Dan, we're having a hypothetical. We're asking ourselves, what would we do if we had to choose?
If we absolutely had to join a religion, if somehow that were a mandate, a requirement, what would we do?
What would we do?
We've been
Which one?
stewing over it.
For a very short period of time. So not really a stew, more of maybe a
quick soup.
Soup that we whipped
We've been
up.
doing it. We just came up with a quick soup of ideas about that. So there you go.
All right. Well, coming up first, we've got a bunch of stories for you. Dan,
What?
there has been, I suppose for a lot of people, a little bit of a mystery. Where has this coronavirus come from?
Oh.
Do you feel that? Do you wonder, where did coronavirus
No, because I know
come from?
I know exactly where it came from.
No.
Oh, yes, I do.
I suppose what? Science, Dan?
No, it was created in a lab by Hydra.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
No. There's a cleric over in Pakistan who knows. He knows where it came from. He was on national TV during a telethon that I think was probably like raising money for like I don't even
Victims?
know what it was for. Yeah, like I mean, they're raising money, and the prime minister of Pakistan was like, I guess like on stage or in the studio, like right there with this guy, and he starts going on, and he says, and I trust him. I think he's right here.
Well, I mean, that's who you go to for your up to the minute scientific knowledge.
Yeah, he says that it's that the coronavirus has been unleashed on all of us, on all of humanity, because of the wrongdoings of women.
Yes,
He nailed it.
Finally, someone says it. We've all been thinking it.
Yeah, apparently, it's because it's specifically the women who are so often scantily dressed.
Oh,
Right. And their behavior is inappropriate.
Right? You got these women walking around, their burqas don't even cover their ankles. Like the sluts that they are. Out there, probably like, blinking their eyes seductively at people.
Yeah.
It's shameful is what it is.
Yeah. And he's having none of it. Apparently there's been a bit of backlash. Surprise, surprise.
Right.
Actually kind of surprising. Because nobody outside of Pakistan probably would have seen this. And people in Pakistan there's some people upset.
Well, there you go.
And so he initially condemned the media for spreading lies. And he said that it's a slip of a tongue, but he's refused to apologize for his remarks made against
love
women.
it.
So.
I didn't mean to say that, but if I did, it's real.
I
don't
I
apologize.
kind of agree with that. You
for
say
what
I said that? Huh. Well, I really don't have anything to apologize for, having not said it. But that's a good idea.
I definitely didn't mean to say that. I thought I was saying something else, but now that you pointed out to me,
That's
sounds pretty good.
awesome. Sounds like
pretty
something
good.
I'd say. Yeah,
I'm going to keep that. And we're keeping it. Oh, my Lord. Well, speaking of people getting into a little bit of hot water over things that they've said, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, who is having a great time, I'm sure, these days. Boy, what a treat to be New York's mayor during this particular moment in history. He's been in charge of shutting the fucking city down. And that is not an easy city to shut down. But, of course, they got hit super hard. Like, everybody lives exactly 1 foot away from everyone else in that city. And it's not easy to keep a pandemic from killing all of your people. So, of course,
some people are making it harder than others as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, unlike Utah or many other places, he put in some hard and fast rules about people not, about social distancing and everybody sort of sheltering in place and that sort of thing. But when a beloved rabbi from the Hasidic Jewish community in New York passed away, apparently the ultra-Orthodox did not get the memo about keeping home and came out by the thousands to a funeral for him.
Yeah.
Which is about as idiotic a thing as you could possibly do. I understand. Like, I feel for people who are losing their loved ones right now and can't do a funeral for them. Like, that sucks. Right. Not being able to commune with your community, with your loved ones, with your family over the loss of someone that you love. I get it. That's the worst. But fucking stay the fuck at home. Yeah. Like, it's such an obvious thing to do. Well, not to the Haredi community of Williamsburg and Brooklyn. So de Blasio went and broke it up. He literally showed up and got the police and they dispersed the crowd.
Wait. The mayor shows up.
Yeah.
To this thing.
Apparently.
That's some hands-on mayoring.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was mayoring the fuck out of that thing. So he broke it up, which was pissing people, which of course is going to piss people off anyway. But then he tweeted about it also, saying that it was something that it was. What did he say? He said something absolutely unacceptable happened in Williamsburg tonight. A large funeral gathering in the middle of this pandemic. And then he also tweeted, "My message to the Jewish community and all communities is this simple. The time for warnings has passed." I assume that's referencing police warnings. He's saying he's going to arrest people if they don't disperse.
Right. Yeah.
No arrests actually happened. The police just dispersed them and said that, a dozen summonses were issued.
Sure.
However, boy, did the Orthodox Jewish community freak out, at this crazy guy who's trying to save their lives. Literally, because he said, this is my message, he said to the Jewish community and all communities, City Councilman Chaim Deutsch, who represents a large Orthodox Jewish constituency, said,
okay.
Did the mayor... He said, this has to be a joke. Did the mayor of New York City really just single out one specific ethnic community? A community that has been the target of increasing hate crimes in his city being non-compliant? Which, yes, correct.
Yeah.
They have been an increasing target of hate crimes lately, and that's awful. But I think guess who was being non-compliant in the moment?
Absolutely.
Jesus Christ. Look around. They were doing it. So there you go. Yeah. I mean, this also is a problem with the... I guess it's just... Fundamentalist religious people are apparently... believe that they're immune to viruses, because the same thing's happening in Israel, apparently. Some of the major... All of the major outbreak points are majority Haredi communities, so...
Well, yeah, whatever, you don't believe in, it can't hurt you. Isn't that how that works? You have to believe.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you clap your hands and you click your heels together and you say, there's no virus in me. There's no virus in me. There's no virus in me.
And then you wake up and the world is in black and white.
That's right. That's right. I had a virus, and you were there, and you were there. There you go. Mayor's in trouble.
Mayor's in trouble. Well, it sounds like, first of all, I have to say, the mayor showing up on site I don't know much. I don't know all the ins and outs of the whole story in it, but I'm impressed by that one detail, right? Showing up.
I hope
hands on.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, right? I guess. I wouldn't go there. I wouldn't go. I mean,
no.
Yikes!
No.
Too many people.
Yeah, who are potentially going to be really mad at you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dan.
Yeah.
We've got Ramadan coming up.
Indeed.
Right? Like,
it is a Ramadama ding dong
did it already
time.
Start? Actually?
I think it may have started.
I think it already did start. This article is a few days old. So yes. So Ramadan has begun. Actually, yeah. No, I remember it starting, and I remember going out that night and seeing the crescent moon, and it was gorgeous.
Well, it's nice of the Lord of Allah to celebrate by decorating the sky with this symbol. Yeah, it started on the 23rd.
On the 23rd. Okay. Well, nonetheless, so for the last over a week now, there has been a Muslim call to prayer in Minneapolis, in a heavily Muslim neighborhood.
Okay.
The Cedar Riverside neighborhood of Minneapolis, and this is the first time there's ever been a public call to prayer, over the loudspeaker, coming
really?
from the mosque. Because like the Muslim thing is, that instead of like church bells calling people traditionally to church, they would call out for using their voice, calling people to prayer, to come to the mosque.
It's sort of a song theoretically either played over a loudspeaker or sung by the loudest guy in the village.
Yeah.
From a minaret.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever. And if they didn't have that, how would we know in movies that we were in a majority Islamic part of the world?
Well, yeah, exactly.
What clue could they use?
So the trick of these prayers, one of them is, of course, that it happens 5 times a day.
Correct.
And it starts in the wee hours, right?
Oh God.
So there's often been a little bit of resistance in this country. This is not the first sort of publicly audible call to prayer in the United States. Right. It's happened in Michigan and a couple other places before. But this is specifically, even though it has the potential to really annoy the non-Muslim neighbors, this is happening because the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, worked with Minnesota's Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, and then specifically the specific mosque. This is meant to be a safe distancing practice during Ramadan, because normally it's all about community prayer during Ramadan.
Yeah, they like to get together for prayer during Ramadan. They like to gather for that.
So this is stay at home. And this is our olive branch, so to speak. We're letting this happen. We're encouraging this in order to keep everybody safe. And I think it's a great example of people just sort of working together with, even with faith communities in order just to figure out, like, how do we keep people safe? Because
and let's make you guys as happy as we can make you during this time when you can't do the thing that you really want to be doing.
And if we can get you to a happy enough of a place, you're not going to break the rules. Hopefully, right?
Hopefully, right.
This is far better than any of the evangelical ding dongs who are breaking quarantine to go to church and whatnot. Like we should have given them something.
Yeah. Yeah, make them happy somehow.
Just complete control over our government? How about that?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. We've given them all the things. We have nothing to bribe them with. We have nothing to make them happy because they have everything they want and they still feel persecuted.
Ugh. Unreal.
Yeah. Maybe if we promised to actually persecute them, they'd stay at home. when all this is over, boy, are we going to persecute the hell out of you. Your narrative is going to make so much sense all of a sudden.
That thing that you were lacking, here you go.
Well, there you go. So what has been the reaction to the call to prayer?
It's happened. The article doesn't go into that. Like,
oh, okay. So nobody's like nobody. I was wondering. Like the back of my mind was like, did someone call the cops for a noise ordinance violation or what?
Well, I hope the cops that just would have been on the dispatch board.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. I would. Man, if it was too early, I'd be calling the cops. Somebody's yelling over a microphone.
Oh my God.
In my neighborhood.
Like the first call to prayer is so early, Dan.
Ugh, I'd be so mad. Leave me alone. Where's the snooze button on the call to prayer? That's what I want to know.
It's happening right now around 5 a.m.
Oh, God. Don't. Shame on everybody.
And it all depends on exactly where you are on the planet, too.
Right. So. Oh, God. Yeah, and you got to face Mecca.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to take us, speaking of Muslims, I'm going to take us to Nigeria.
Oh yeah,
where it's not an awesome place to not be a Muslim there currently, and especially not awesome to not be or to be an atheist as we are, as has been learned by one Mubarak Bala, who is president of the Humanist Association of Nigeria, which is, God, the bravery that it takes to be that, to be that is bold. Because in spite of Nigeria's theoretical, they have a constitution that says freedom of religion and freedom of expression and all those things. That doesn't mean that it actually exists in any real form. And apparently that is proven by the fact that he's been arrested, allegedly for blasphemy for criticizing Islam on his Facebook page. So that's not going to go well for him. No. Apparently a group of lawyers wrote a petition for his arrest, calling for his arrest. This is a man who in 2014 was placed in a mental hospital for the crime of not believing in a deity. So,
Jesus Christ.
Cool, you guys. Well, I mean, obviously you'd have to be insane not to believe in Allah, because, boy, everything he wrote makes so much sense.
Well, yeah, and he's like a really cool guy too. Like,
yeah, just
easy going
on the whole,
you know.
Just a really awesome
Doesn't
dude.
Have weird rules about pooing and peeing,
right?
Anyway, well, Dan.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is a weird story to follow that one with. Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
It just became a slightly less awful place to be in the event of you committing a minor crime.
Okay.
They have abolished flogging.
Oh,
and which, you know, like, it's obviously going to be chaos in the streets without flogging.
Yeah, exactly.
As the punishment.
How can you even keep the rule of law going if you can't flog a guy?
Yeah, you know. Well, you might do as they're doing. You might replace flogging with prison sentences and possibly fines. Sounds downright civilized.
Welcome to the 1700s, 1800s. We'll call it 1800s.
Flogging was used to punish a variety of crimes, including drinking alcohol, having an affair, or, apropos to your story, illegal blogging.
Yes.
And and if you're not familiar with it, it's they would use a cane, and they would hit you on the back a bunch of times in a public square.
Fun.
And causing the skin to break and heavy bruising. Often people would be left with nerve damage and infections, psychological trauma, and some people even died.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. So that's God's choice, really, whether you live or die.
It's in God's hands now.
It's in God's hands. Oh, Lord. I don't know. Great. Good job. Stop flogging people. That's probably for the best. Although, between like years of prison or even months of jail time and flogging, depending on how many canings I got, I might have to think about it, to be perfectly honest.
I don't know, Dan.
I wouldn't like it, but that's a couple, that's 15 minutes of extreme pain and then several days or months of really bad pain. And then, but at least I'm free.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would take they're not saying how long the jail times are going to be for. I mean, it's quite possible they'll be locking people up for years just for some alcohol, Saudi Arabia's they're trying to make themselves look a little more civilized.
Yeah, women are driving. You never know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
They could be in the 20th century before you know it.
It's a country on the move.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Well, you and I have been talking about it for weeks now. The fact that American churches do not want to close just because of some stupid virus.
Where's your faith, Dan?
Where's your faith?
Where's your faith?
So they've been practicing their faith, and God love them. I find it like half of me is impressed by all of these people who end up going to church faithfully because they're covered in Jesus' blood or whatever, and then they.
This impresses you?
Well, at least their money's where their mouth is. You know what I mean? At least they're not claiming that they believe a thing and then not actually believing it.
Well, yeah, but they're also not believing in the health threat, right? So it's
I know.
It'd be one thing if they were oh my God, there's plague, legitimate plague,
right.
And you're probably going to get it if you go outside, and you're probably going to die, and then they're still going to church. Okay, I'm impressed by maybe their stick-to-itiveness on that, but there's something in the air, not even in the air, that's the wrong phrase, but there's just, there's something that other people can give you. It's bad if it spreads because it overwhelms the health system and a lot of people die, but it hasn't really touched their community hard yet, and their preacher's saying it's not real.
Yeah.
That's not too impressive to me. I'm sorry.
That's true.
I'm sorry.
When they think that they're being good Republicans by daring people to cough in their face, which I did see a protester at one of those protests actually being cough in my face, it's fine. Everybody come cough in my face. It's okay. You have stupid in you. Anyway, it turns out, strangely, and I don't know who could have predicted this. I don't know what prophet could have seen this coming. A lot of folks have died because of this, and not just people in the congregation. As many as 30 leaders from the largest African American Pentecostal denomination have died. 30 of their pastors, of the church leaders themselves, have died from the outbreak.
Wow.
So, yeah. And it sucks that it's primarily hitting these African American churches, because we really need more of these white pastors to die off. But, yeah, it is happening. And it's happening all over the place. But yeah, I mean, that is no small number.
No. Holy crap.
30 pastors. No word on how many of their congregants, but if you've got that many pastors, just imagine the number of congregants that are dying.
That are going, yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That might be harder to track, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's tricky.
But finding local stories about the pastor dying in the newspaper, that's...
Yeah.
Wow.
That's easier to do. Nobody has to do a study to figure that out.
Oh my God, Dan, it's going to get bad in some of these places.
Yeah,
like
it's getting bad. It is bad.
It is bad. And it's... I'm just... Oh, boy. I don't know.
A lot of these guys were talking about, how this isn't real or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that you need, you need to practice your faith by getting out there.
Yeah.
And then they die. So the question for me is, are people learning the lesson?
No.
I don't think they are.
No.
I don't trust them to do that. I've seen far too much of humanity to know that, far too often, the evidence is very clearly presented to them right in front of their face. The person who's telling them that the thing is a lie dies of the thing.
Yeah.
And it only confirms the faith of the people.
I don't know how it works.
Constantly happening.
Psychologically, that is like some crazy shit. How does that work?
It's the most human thing in the world, though. It's how all of the conspiracy theorists work. Anything that they say, that you point out to them that disconfirms their thing, confirms their thing.
Yeah.
Somehow they turn it into a thing.
That's so weird. Yeah. Anyway. All right.
So there you go. That's happening. Listen, folks. If your pastor just died, you can write to us. Tell us about it. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button. We need you to like us.
And while you're there, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group. We will let you in. Also, find us on Twitter at TGIA Atheist.
Yes, indeedy.
And stick around. There's more. So, Dan.
Hey.
Yeah, do you like a good prophet?
Oh, it depends on how you spell it, actually. There's one kind of prophet I'm pretty fond of, and another kind that I think is dopey and silly. But here's the thing: the dopey, silly ones maybe my more favorite kind, because boy, are they just nutballs. Anyone who considers themselves capable of prophecy. Here's the thing: all of these prophets make predictions about the world. That's kind of their whole gig. And guess what? They're wrong all the time.
Of course they are.
Unless, Frank, you figure it different.
Unless they're not wrong.
I think we have to listen to what is his name? Jeremiah Johnson?
Jeremiah Johnson, yeah.
Prophet and pastor. He's got the new math on prophecy accuracy. So
exactly.
let's listen to what he has to say.
Years ago, I prophesied to a man in a meeting. I got his name. The Lord showed me a large business. He was going to become a multi-millionaire. I mean, tremendous. I mean, it was probably like the greatest prosperity word bearer I ever gave. I mean, I could have preached with the best of them. Just came on me. He called the office 5 days later and said, "You're a false prophet. My company just went bankrupt." Now listen to what I've been teaching you today by the Word of God. I said, "Brother, I actually believe now, after what you've told me, that was the word of the Lord. I measure prophetic accuracy by how much warfare follows it. I said, I'm now convinced that is the word of the Lord, because now it's getting tested. Now God is going to strip you down and humble you and really see where your heart's at. Can you really steward those millions? No, but we just want the word of the Lord in that week. Money from heaven, money cometh, whatever.
Oh my God!
Oh, he's a smart man. He's a smart man,
smart,
obviously.
You know? And I mean, if you were a prophet, I bet you would get tired of people like coming to you and being like, "Hey, that wasn't true," and you're like, "Fuck you, yeah, it was."
It was. Are we warring right now? Is there a war happening? Boom! My prophecy's true. You suck. Yeah. You're not a millionaire. I win.
Yeah. What, you want it to come true?
Yeah.
Like
what
right
a ridiculous
now?
Notion.
That's not what a prophet does.
They don't come true. This isn't something. This isn't an accuracy contest like something like fortune cookies.
Yeah.
This is about the war.
Come on, ding dong.
I'm looking for war here.
Yeah.
I want to know what he says when he gets one right. When somebody comes to him and he's like, you know what? You are 100% accurate. Everything was peaceful and nice, and it came true. Does that just ruin his whole thing?
Oh, he's probably just like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, it's not about being right.
How dare you?
Wow.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see who you are.
Yeah. Ye of little faith.
No, he takes full credit. He's like,
Absolutely.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's modeled after his Lord and Savior. Mm-hmm. That dear and fluffy Lord of his who says things like, who basically takes credit for everything good that happens in everybody's life.
Right.
And takes exactly zero responsibility when anything goes wrong. Not unlike our president. Oh my gosh.
God.
Well, we had some folks write into us.
Oh, good.
And I need to pull that up. Here we go. Cosmic wrote into us to say, hey, Frank and Dan, I apologize for dredging up old material, but hearing you talk about the sexual power dynamic that is created and exploited between men and women in polygamous Mormonism got me thinking. My understanding is that in many cultures that have practiced or practice polygamy, there is a status for males who have wives that is withheld from those who don't, and more status attached to a greater number than fewer. Has such a thing ever been present in this religion?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
It was all about power. What do you think it was? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
and obviously, the more wives you like, when you practice, especially in the U.S., like in a country where it's not where it's commonplace. I don't know how big of a thing this is, but in a country where it's what makes you and your people the weirdos of the entire country. Who can be the weirdoest is the winner of Mormonism. That's how you win Mormonism. So yes, back when mainstream Mormonism was practicing polygamy, 100% if you had more wives.
Yeah.
And also, like, it's a status thing, right? Because in order to be able to feed all of those wives, and all of those wives presumably have rugrats, or a bunch of them do.
Yeah.
In order to be able to feed and house everybody, you have to have a lot of money. And as we all know, in every religious tradition that's worth its salt, more money means the Lord loves you more, and you're more blessed. So more wives equals more blessed, more money. It's a whole thing. And now, maybe less so in the original Mormonism, but you look at fundamentalist Mormonism that still practices polygamy, and they do arranged marriages largely, and man, it gets ugly. They just, because the problem is that it's a closed system, right? Nobody enters their group. They don't have converts. Right. So they're just drawn from their own small little gene pool. And the problem is that, birth rates tend to be 50-50 male-female, whereas when some guys have 4 or 5 wives, you're gonna have some guys who are left out in the cold wife-wise.
Yeah.
And they end up solving this problem in the best possible way, which is kick out the boys that they don't like out of the community.
Yeah, it's really
just
sick.
kick them the fuck out.
Yep. Dan, have you ever noticed the phenomenon of like Mormons today? Sort of like if somebody's being a little braggy about their ancestors, right?
Uh-huh.
Like they invariably have some polygamist ancestor.
Right.
And it almost confers generations later, even though it's not a practice and anymore in the church, right? That like when somebody's talking about their polygamist ancestor, first of all, they were pioneer, ancestry.
Right.
So
that's a big deal.
And that's a big deal. That's a status thing. And then also like they obviously were like, well-to-do and well-off and important, right? They have important ancestors if they come from a polygamist family, right? Like there's something trickled down generations later, right?
Yeah, it's funny because they have this love-hate relationship where it's like, oh, they do not like to talk about the polygamy thing. They're not comfortable with it. They think it, on some level, they feel icky about polygamy. But if you get them talking about their own ancestors, well, actually, my great-great-grandmother was the 4th wife of Brigham Young, and
that's a big fucking deal.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. Yeah. I feel bad for Mormons almost because they're not, they're a little confused. There's a cognitive dissonance there.
Yeah.
All right. Elliot wrote into us, Frank! ! Dan! !
Elliot!
Elliot! Last week you read an email taking you to task for predicting wrong on the outcome of the 2016 U.S. election. First, I don't think you guys generally frame these kinds of things as predictions. No, they're more prophecies, really.
Which we just found out.
We don't have to get right to get it right. Anyway, you usually use softer language. Second, I feel pretty confident that Frank mused on the podcast in August or September of 2016 that he thought Donald John Trump would win the general election.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Frank's cynicism for the win. Elliot does have one more thing. One quick aside to you guys as residents of Utah. If you want to have any say on our next governor, I suggest you register Republican and request a ballot for the upcoming Republican gubernatorial primary.
I've heard of people doing that,
I have been agonizing over this because what Elliot is pointing out is correctly is that a registered Democrat, or even someone like me who's registered as an independent, has no say in who the next governor of Utah will be,
right?
Because it is entirely determined by the Republican primary. And in the state of Utah, you're not allowed to participate in the Republican primary unless you're a registered Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to admit it. I did it. I am a registered Republican in the state of Utah now.
Dan!
I hate it. It felt so icky to do it because it feels like a lie.
Yeah.
But I want to have some say in who our next governor is, and it's the only way for anyone to have that say.
One-party system is to join the party.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gross.
Oh, boy.
I
hope you chose wisely.
Well, I mean,
it hasn't come yet. That's right.
It's June when that happens, but... But, there are some actually decent Republican candidates on the ballot this year. So I would love to be part of them being actually I don't know.
Well, you essentially cannot vote for anybody who came out of the convention system because they have to be a crackpot. If they can make it through the Utah Republican Convention and be on the ballot, they are crazy.
Oh, man. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it. Democracy is not awesome. It's just not. We have not found a way to make it work yet.
Not here.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Thanks, Elliot. Dan wrote into us. Hi, guys. My name is Dan, and I love your show. Oh, and if your name is Dan, you're probably handsome. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, you spend a lot of time discussing J-dubs, Jehovah's Witnesses, and interacting with them. You recommended not doing that, which is to say, interacting with them in general, which is good advice. Which in general is good advice. Well, I'm a 65-year-old hippie stoner atheist, and taking advice never was for me. I have fun talking to the J-dubs. I've heard all the debates and Dawkins and Hitchens, etc., and I have all the arguments from those great thinkers more or less handy in my head. So we have lively chats. I never quit until they do. That's the best part. Watching J-dubs smile politely, back away, and declare a need to move along. It's sort of it's sort of the shoe on the other foot, you might say. So thanks for your great work, and don't drink Lysol, from Dan.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Well, I mean, if you can beat them at their own game, why not?
Or at least make them so uncomfortable they leave you. That's I don't know. Sure, if you get a kick out of it, that's great. I always feel bad for people who are like trying to debate them in earnest, like hoping to get anything out of it other than an entertainment.
Yeah.
Because
well, and
they're not gonna hear you.
Yeah, you are keeping them from maybe finding some prey out there. So
that's true. The longer you keep the, I should have that attitude, because that's the attitude that I had for the longest time whenever I got a sales call, like a telemarketer, I would keep them on the line ad infinitum. If I had any time at all, it was just constant. And I would see what I could get away with too. It was like, yeah, I'm super interested in the product. Actually, you know what? I have to go to the bathroom. Can you just hold for a minute while I go to the bathroom? And then it's like, see how long I can keep them there. I'll come back to them. I'll check in with them. I used to. Now it's all robocalls. Now there's no fun to be had anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, hey, speaking of Dan, I believe it's the same Dan. Also gave us a one-time donation, so I wanted to thank him so much for that. That is very, very sweet.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you, of course, would like to join Dan in becoming a supporter of the show, you can go to thankgodimatheist.com and click on the Support tab.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can go to Patreon or to PayPal. You can select your level of support. And we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we do have somebody to thank, Dan. Our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Mormon Jesus. Thanks, Davis. Thanks, everybody. And we sure do appreciate your support.
And we'll be right back. Dan.
Hey.
So we talked about this at the beginning of the show, that we were going to sort of run a hypothetical.
Yeah.
About, like, if you absolutely had to, what religion would you pick?
Yeah.
Interesting question.
It's a fun little thought exercise.
Is there like a gun to your head?
Yeah. Or something. It's a spiritual gun. I would have
to be like really, really like incentivized in some way.
Totally. I will say this. I think it's a cheat to choose something like Flying Spaghetti Monster or something, just because that's already it's a kind of a joke religion, and it's atheist. It's already what we already are. But
right.
I'm okay with cheating. I'm an atheist, so like that's certainly on the list.
Really?
If we're gonna count it,
Okay.
I would say
For
but
this
that's not-
exercise? Okay. All right.
I think for this exercise, I'm going to refrain and hold off from anything that's like that. That's so
Okay.
easy
Well,
and just already fits my worldview.
I went for real, right?
Okay.
Like I
like it.
I had some very specific questions. I needed to find something that the overall sort of belief system was not too objectionable,
Right.
That it was fairly benign, right?
No hate of any groups.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be like LGBT negative.
And that was another one, right? Like,
Yeah.
obviously they have to have at least a decent or evolving stance where there's probably like a part of their community that is cool with gay people. Like, I was like, because it's kind of a tall order, because there's a lot of like really cool, interesting groups out there. Say like the Sikhs, right?
Oh,
They were
yeah.
one that I went and kind of reviewed exactly what they believed and everything, and ended up not really settling on them.
Right.
Even though I really have a lot of respect for Sikhs. Like, it is
Oh,
all
yeah.
about like they're very peaceful. There's the work that they do, the charitable work that they do with like feeding people. Like, I've got a lot of respect for them. I think
Sure.
they're a pretty decent group.
And it's Indian food, so that's awesome.
I mean, like, if I was absolutely going to have to pick something, I mean, I would probably like, can you actually sign up and convert to be a secular Jew? Because I think that would probably be the best fit for me, right?
Oh man, Judaism makes you jump through a lot of hoops to become a Jew. I don't know how many hoops. I would
then
love
just to
for
be a
somebody
secular Jew.
I would love for somebody to go through all of the stuff that you got to go through to convert to Judaism,
Yeah.
and then be like, oh no, I don't believe it. I just wanted to be part of the group.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as like, like a life and like being hassled by a religion, right? Like not too bad, right?
Sure,
Not the worst thing in the world. So the one that I kind of settled in on, do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I'm all ears, baby.
Zoroastrianism.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You and Freddie Mercury, man.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay.
So their whole thing is good words, good thoughts, and good deeds. Is that right?
Something like that. That sounds
Yeah,
right.
good words, good thoughts, and good deeds. And they kind of have two. There's two kind of major sort of trains of thought, I guess, or factions or whatever within the religion, right? There's kind of the traditionalists, and then there's kind of a reform movement. And the reform side is pretty decent about homosexuality, right?
Okay.
They're not overly like their scriptures don't have a lot of commandments. It's just sort of this idea of like this good words, good thoughts, and good deeds. Like that's what's really important. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I was like, oh, wait a second, dietary restrictions.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like you can't just go jumping into something, right? And then be
Mormons
like,
won't even tell you about
shit.
that until they've got you hooked. So yeah.
And so I was like, okay, what kind of restrictions do they have that way? They have one of perhaps the most awesome prohibitions of all time. They
Okay.
have specifically prohibited the killing and eating of otters.
I guess, man.
Like, and it's like they have a whole bunch of things that you can't eat, but for otters, you also can't kill them. This is really important, right? Like otters are, I don't think it's like they're sacred or anything, but like they're just like this very special animal to them. And
I love otters.
Otters are
they're
awesome.
special to me
and
too.
So like I'm just like, wow, okay, I'm down with that. You can't eat dogs, foxes, vultures, ravens, owls, monkeys, and I'm just like, this is no problem whatsoever. Like, I am down with these dietary restrictions.
That's
Not hard to adapt to any of these. The only one, they have a prohibition against eating sort of the young of any animal. So the only thing there that would I would run afoul of would maybe be like lamb, but it's not a major part of my diet. Like, I don't really, eat a ton of lamb.
What about eggs? Does that count as the young?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. But and then they have perhaps the all-time best official burial technique ever. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's called the Tower of Silence. Okay.
Nice.
And instead of so they have all these things that are apparently like death is dirty or is for them, right? And so they don't want to sully any of the really clean things like the earth and water or fire, I guess, is considered very sort of important. And so they don't want to burn a body, they don't want to bury a body, they don't want to send a body out to sea or whatever, right?
Wow.
And so they developed these towers that
launch the body into space.
I wish. These big towers, and then they have a platform, right? And they lay the bodies out on this platform, and then vultures come and eat your body.
All right.
The sun bleaches your bones, and then the bones disintegrate. And this is the thing. And it's actually also in sort of kind of their kind of understanding of life and afterlife and all that kind of stuff. It's considered a final act of charity, right?
Okay.
Because the person has given their body to feed the birds.
Yeah. I'm okay. I mean, aren't there Native American tribes that do that also?
Maybe. I don't know. They're having a hard time in sort of as the remaining Zoroastrians in the world have sort of moved to other countries outside of India. And outside of sort of their region, I guess Iran, there were some old Zoroastrian kind of groups there too. But they've had some difficulty with this official burial technique. So they've been experimenting with electrical cremation, which sounds awful. And what was the other one? I can't remember.
Vata acid.
Maybe, right? They're trying some different things.
Yeah.
But apparently it's a shrinking group. There's only 200,000 of them left. But it's a foundational group. They were
they go back.
Monotheists before their Judaism, before Christianity, Islam.
Oh, they basically made it up.
They were the first monotheists, and they kind of also came up with the duality of good and evil. That's two forces in the universe. Apparently that's really important to them, but then you see it's being borrowed in Christianity and Judaism.
Borrowed. That's a cute way of putting it.
Stolen outright.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting group.
There you go.
Again, very cursory, sort of okay, maybe that'd be cool.
I looked at a few things. I admit to there being an appeal to there's a UFO cult called Raelism or Raelianism that was started back in the 70s or something by a French dude.
Okay.
Who was a former race car driver.
Oh, yeah.
And it's mostly a sex cult, and I don't know. There's some appeal there. I kind of love just the nuttiness of the whole thing. I would really get a kick out of going to parties and somehow slipping it into the conversation that I believe in a UFO cult that believes that
there's nothing stopping you now, Dan. You could do that.
I know. You know what? I should just join up.
No,
Just
I
for
mean,
the party
just say it.
conversation.
Just you don't have to join in order to say that you belong to
No,
a
no,
UFO
no,
cult.
no. It is so much better if you actually join up. I like it so much more. The one thing that's really preventing me from joining this crew is their symbol, which is it's actually visually quite satisfying, but symbolically the most horrifying tone-deaf thing I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Okay.
Which is that it is a Star of David interlocked with itself by a swastika. So, yeah, I'm afraid I can't go along with you on that.
Oh boy, yeah, that's not.
So
That ain't
that
cool.
kind of got ruined for me. I did think about Buddhism a little bit. I wouldn't be able to do Zen Buddhism because I went to the Zen Center here in Utah, or in Salt Lake one time, and you've done it too, right?
No.
Oh, I did, and I sat there and I did the whole chanting thing, and that is not for me. I'm into meditation like that I'm down with, and a bunch of stuff, but not really my main jam. I thought about the Community of Christ just because that's the Reformed Mormons. That's the other major offshoot. They accept the gays. They've ordained women. They're pretty forward thinking, but I just don't want dogmatic theology.
Yeah.
Like I'm not into Jesus, and I'm sure as fuck not into the Book of Mormon. Like, good Lord. So,
And they.
I don't know. I think I have to go with, and this may sound like a cop out. Yeah, well, I was gonna say the temple, the Satanic Temple, but I said I already said up front that like I wasn't including the spaghetti monster, and Satanic Temple's basically, it's not a parody of religion, but it's like a religion started to stop religions sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that feels like a cheat. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's a tricky one.
Just be Episcopalian.
I could be a Unitarian.
Just shut up and don't believe in anything.
That doesn't count. You can just be a Unitarian, and then you don't have to say, what do you believe? I believe in Unitarianism.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, Unitarians, like, it's also a slight cop-out because they're totally cool with you being openly atheist, if I remember correctly, right?
Well, then what they're not cool with is telling anybody what they're supposed to believe.
Exactly.
Other than, like, be nice.
Yeah. And here, light a candle.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you what Henry David Thoreau had to say.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I do like, I like some of the non-theistic religions, but in the end, I have to say, I invented this game that we're playing currently.
Yeah.
I hate it. What a stupid game.
Yeah, so here's the deal, Dan. I'm going to give myself an A on my little report.
Okay. Good. You get an A.
What grade do you get, Dan?
I get an A+. Because what I've decided is that I get to make my own rules.
Yeah, no,
that's the whole point of atheism is that you don't have to do this.
Yeah,
you don't have to.
You showed
have
up.
any rules.
You had answers. You participated. But I'm going to give you a B-.
Okay. Well, it's that's better than I did in most of my schooling. So I'll take the B's. That's fine. All right. Well, kids, if you would like, I want to hear from our listeners. I'm sure there are some people out there who have some ideas on what they will and won't join, or why I should ignore the swastika and go with Raelianism. Write into us. The address is podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist. It's so easy to find, and then you just smash that like button and everything's good in the world.
And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. Is a closed group, but we'll let you in. And also find us on Twitter @TGIAtheist.
Yeah, do all of those things. Hey, speaking of all of the things, thanks so much to Mackenzie for all of her work on the Facebook page. And thanks to Amy and Danny for their work as moderators in the Members Only Lounge.
And a big thanks goes out to the Red Rock Hot Club and to Gordon Johnston for the use of their music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Bye, friends.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.